And we're talking about, once again, and it seems like it's been a little while, but it is an annual conference that comes up, of course, every year. It's the 18th year, mind you, for the Sallisa's. That's at the University of the West Indies, and it is back on again this year, the 18th year, as I said. And to tell us more about it, it starts today, by the way, the opening is today, and continuing on. Professor Patrick Watson, good morning to you. He is the Director, Sir Arthur Lewis Institute of Social and Economic Studies at UWI St. Augustine campus. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to the viewers. A pleasure to be here.
So it's on again.
Yes, it has been on, as you mentioned, for the past 18 years. It is, we like to think, and we do believe, that it is the best conference on the social sciences in the Caribbean. And we have distinguished people from all over the world taking part, principally from the Caribbean, because we deal largely with Caribbean problems. In fact, this year it's roughly around, the theme is on sustainable development in small island developing states, which of which the Caribbean is a part. But we welcome contributions from other small island developing states the world over. We have received, in fact, discussions from from people who are doing research in this area. It is a conference where we showcase policy-oriented research from around the Caribbean, and where we engage each other, people who are involved in such research, and we engage the general public, those who wish to take part. As you mentioned, the opening ceremony is tonight. There will be no formal presentations of the papers tonight, but we do have a program, and our feature speaker will be Ms. Anya Schnorr, who is in fact, it's the first time in the 18 years that we, if I remember well, that we are opening the program with a distinguished woman. And as it turns out, she, as you know, is the managing director of Scotia, of Scotia Bank, and I do believe that she's the first woman to hold that position, or any position of a similar nature of any of the big banks. But we have invited her in her capacity as head of the Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and she's going to treat a very interesting topic for a banker. It has to do with sustainable development, the green economy, and the banking sector. That's roughly what it's going to be. And it's worth the visit. The public is invited to the opening ceremony, and there's no charge for that. There's a charge for attending the conference, and if you wish, you could pay the fee and come along. The media is usually invited. But for the opening ceremony, there's no charge. I also want to bring the attention of the general public to a lecture we're having tomorrow evening. And every year, well, for the last 7 years or so, we have been having what we call, we invite a person whom we designate the Sir Arthur Lewis Distinguished Lecturer. And it is always a person of extreme renown. In fact, when we first decided to do it, we said we would like to have someone in the spirit of Sir Arthur Lewis, who's a Nobel laureate. And this would either be a Nobel laureate or someone who we think will one day be a Nobel laureate. The French say he's Nobelisable. And we have in fact found such a person this year again. And that person is Professor James Robinson, who holds a very distinguished position of university professor at one of the most outstanding universities in the world, the University of Chicago. And he and his colleagues, in particular Darren Acemoglu, have been working for some time now on a very new topic for economists, and it has to do with the quality of institutions and the role that institutions have played in the development of societies, not just economies, but a lot of people have a tendency to when they hear the word economic development, or they think only of money, of GDP per capita and so on. But there is much more than that. And in most recent times, the concept of governance, which is borrowed from another discipline, from political science, if you wish, the word has entered the vocabulary of the economist in a very big way. And in fact, a few years ago, a woman won the Nobel Prize for economics, and to a large extent she wasn't an economist at all, but she worked on this area of the quality of institutions. And we are going to be treated tomorrow night to Professor Robinson, speaking about the relationship between the quality of institutions and the quality of life. How he's going to treat the topic, I could only guess, because he's the author of a book called Why Nations Fail. And that book deals a lot with the issue of the institutions within societies, which and because of the poor quality of institutions, many nations fail. And that is notwithstanding some things of having high GDP per capita. And so this is an extremely easy book to read. It's available in Kindle. I'm not advertising his book, but it's available. And many people who are not economists have read this book. But it has won awards among academics. It's a serious academic. And I suspect one day, if he does win the Nobel Prize, this book is going to be cited as one of the contributions that he would have made. That too, the Sir Arthur Lewis Distinguished Lecture, as we call it, is open to the public.
Okay,
by the way, this conference is being held at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. This will be held, I can't remember the room right now, but it's going to be a sizable room to hold elements of the public, but it's at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. And it starts at 7 p.m. tomorrow, that's the 27th. The opening ceremony is tonight at 6:30 p.m. and where we will open and we will introduce the speaker. Generally, we're going to speak about the importance of the conference, and Anya Snow will make her presentation, which is going to be the main event of the evening, and it's a treat, I think, that you wouldn't want to miss. Miss Ida, she's of course a Caribbean. She works in Trinidad and Tobago, but she is born in Jamaica, I think.
She's Jamaican,
yes, and she is very, very well known, not only in the Caribbean, but in North America, and has served at high levels at Scotia Bank, and so on, which is something that women like yourself should be very, very pleased about and should come along to support her. Yes.
So these are the first 2 days. This is running for how long?
The conference starts tonight with the opening ceremony, and we go until Friday.
Okay.
But tomorrow and Friday, that's the Thursday and Friday, these are the conventional days, and this is the one. This is not open to the public unless you could only come if you pay. There is a lovely social program for those who want to come. And the part of the fee, if you are interested in registering, it covers coffee breaks and it covers a sumptuous lunch on both days. It also covers it also covers a lime, because we have foreign guests, and we have a lime at the Exodus Spaniard, for which we are thankful to Republic Bank for helping us, because they sponsor Exodus, and they have helped us hire Exodus for the evening. So it's a lime where a good Trini atmosphere. There'll be pan music, there'll be DJ music, largely of soca, but other Caribbean type music as well. And all that is part of the fee that you pay to attend this conference. But the real treat is within the sessions. Yes. Sessions will run parallel. They'll be parallel in parallel, and they will treat topics going from the green economy, dealing with governance issues, dealing with institutions, dealing with climate change, dealing with fiscal and monetary policy, dealing with exchange rate policy, and things like that. These are some of the many papers that are available today.
Now, social sciences has always made a great impact on society. What is going to happen after all these discussions?
Well, this is part of the ongoing work of our institute, the Salesius. Our business is to do work that redounds to the benefit of the people of the Caribbean, mainly the English-speaking Caribbean, but also people in the rest of the developing world, in particular small island developing states. Once a year, we meet to show off to each other, to engage each other in the work that we have been doing, because research is a lonely business. You must understand that we do the work we send it out to the publisher and so on. It is when we meet in conferences that we meet people in the flesh.
Yeah.
That is still always a very, very lovely thing to happen, because sometimes I have collaborated with people who I never saw until I met them, at a conference. And that's always a great event, because human beings are, in the final analysis, social animals. We present our findings of our papers, recent work, it's generally recent work or recently completed work, because some of the work could be going on for years. And we then engage each other. And I mean, we are a frank community. We tell you,
as it is.
we tell you what we think of your work and your efforts, and
which is good.
Yes, and we learn not to take offense. We learn we put our tails between our legs sometimes and go back to the drawing boards and so on. And those who take part generally find this a very, very interesting and very intriguing exercise. We have among us from the very distinguished established scholars, like myself, down to the the PhD candidates who are sometimes very, very distinguished themselves and about to embark on a career in academia, presenting some of the best results, often working in collaboration with some of the senior scholars like myself, who would have supervised them, and so on, and they will also be on display. In fact, if I were to hazard, I guess the majority of those taking part are these young Turks who have done a lot of very, very interesting work, very often in collaboration with the senior scholars. So the work has a certain amount of senior moderation to it. Let me put it that way. And this is the work that is presented for everybody to hear. And now, eventually, the work is going to be published somewhere. Okay. But our great hope, and it has always been, is that we will influence the policy makers.
That's it.
To some extent, we may have been falling short there, and I don't know to what extent we should not be reconsidering the outlet of some of this work. There's a conflict at times between our own desire. Our own desire to publish in the best journals, but very often when we do that, the policymakers miss it entirely.
That would be, yes. So maybe you need to go straight to the
We need to do both.
Yes.
That's what
Yes, in collaboration with each other.
Yes.
Professor Watson, thank you so much for coming and letting us know.
My
18th
pleasure.
annual Salises. It's back on for the 18th year, as I said, in Trinidad and Tobago. Starting tonight, the opening ceremony is on tonight. It's open to the public at the Hyatt at 6:30. So you can be a part of it as well. And then tomorrow, the featured guest speaker is going to be there. That's
It's the highlight of the conference.
Highlight of the conference, Professor James Robinson. So that's you cannot miss. So be a part of it. The Salises is on once again in Trinidad and Tobago. That's, of course, by UWI, put on by the University of the West Indies of Trinidad and Tobago. This is good.